Welcome to Liesel's Artistic Studio. I'm so happy you're here to paint with me today because with Mother's Day just around the corner, I thought it would be fun to show you how to paint a few different cards that you can paint and then give to those special women in your life. Keep in mind also that you can personalize these or make these cards for any occasion, not just Mother's Day. So before we get to painting, let's really quickly go over some of the supplies we need. First, I've got my watercolor paper cut into card-size pieces. I've only used one sheet of watercolor paper and was able to cut 4 cards into 4x6 card sizes, but you of course can make whatever size you'd like. Then I've just got one brush that I'll be using for all of the cards today. This is a number 6 round brush. Then I have clean water, a paper towel, and of course watercolor paints. I'll be using a variety of colors, which I'll go over with you with each card, but keep in mind you're the artist here and you can paint these with whatever colors you like. For information or details on any of these supplies, you can find it by clicking on the description of this video. Alright, we're going to start with this rose card, which is my personal favorite. So here on my palette, I've got some azo yellow that I'll be using for the main part of this rose. Now let's paint a loose rose here in the corner, starting with some swirls in the center using just the tip of the brush. Then we're going to continue to form petals around that center, making them bigger as you go by pushing down or using more of the side of the brush. And I am keeping a few white spaces throughout the rose and in between some of the petals as well. After the base of that rose is formed, we're going to go back in with a little bit of gamboge while it is still wet, and we'll dab that in mostly around the center areas or in the inner parts of the petals, and then we're going to let that spread. This is just going to help give it some dimension and make it pop. Now let's paint a few more roses in that same way, one on each side of this first rose and then one more in the bottom left-hand corner. You know, when I was practicing painting this card, I actually painted the roses with pink, and that was really pretty also. So if yellow is not your favorite color, by all means test out some different colors. I also know that some people don't really like the loose rose look, so hopefully you'll stick around and try out some of the other cards that are coming up. But something that I do like about all of these cards that we're painting today is that they are fairly quick and easy and still look pretty. This way you can really make it a special gift for someone you love. This is also just my own opinion here, but when it comes to Mother's Day, I really prefer to think of it as Women's Day. I have and know of so many incredible women out there who, for one reason or another, have not had their own children, but have still impacted and helped the raising of children in so many ways. And this includes sisters, aunts, teachers, neighbors, and then of course there's grandmothers and mothers, and they should all be recognized for their tireless efforts. All right, now that my flowers are done, I'm going to take some sap green and add in a few small leaves stemming out from alongside the flowers. Try to keep these leaves fairly close to the flowers, and it's okay if one or two of them even disappear off the edge of the paper or even bleed into the flower a little bit. You can also try leaving a white unpainted line in the center of some of the leaves that can represent a vein. If you're enjoying this tutorial so far, I hope you'll subscribe so you won't miss out on any of my upcoming tutorials because I have some great things planned out. Okay, now we're going to get a little bit crazy. This is an optional step to this card, but I'm going to add in a very light and watered down wash that will cover the center area of this card. This is a combination of both yellows, and I'm even going to add in a hint of green near some of the leaves so that it looks like these are all blending into each other. Then when your painting is completely dry, you can add some wording to your card, whether it be a name, the word grandmother or mother, or even a little message. All right, that's it for this rose card. Now let's go ahead and move on to the pretty little purple flower card. All right, for this card, I'll be using some dioxazine purple mixed with just a touch of quinacridone rose to help brighten that up just a little bit. And then I've got some hooker's green, also mixed with just a touch of quinacridone rose. Then here in the bottom left-hand corner, I'm going to put a light wash of water with just a hint of green for a little splash of color to go behind the flowers. After that has completely dried, we're going to paint some simple flowers with the purple, creating between 3 and 5 petals or strokes of color for each flower. To do this, I start with just the tip of my brush, and then as I move downward, I press down on the brush and then let it up at the end. Then I'll add just a small spot of green right here at the bottom of the flower to connect it all together. Now continue painting these flowers until you have about 6 or 7 of them. Now for a few tips, I am keeping these more off to the left side and the bottom corner, and when I paint the petals, I'm also trying to paint 1 or 2 of the petals slightly smaller in size on each flower just to give it a little bit of variety. And of course, as I've said before, you can use whatever color for these flowers that you'd like. Now let's add in some green stems and leaves. For the stems, you'll want to just use the very tip of your brush to help keep the lines thin. Sometimes it also helps to dab the side of your brush on a paper towel to take off some of that excess water and paint before painting the stems. And for the leaves, I'm painting them in the same way as we did the petals. They're just a little bit longer in length. After I had a chance to take a step back and look at my composition, I decided that I needed one more small flower here at the end. And now for a finishing touch, I'll add in some small yellow dots shooting out of the centers of the flowers. Then, of course, you can write any words on your card to finish it off. And if you ever feel nervous about doing this part, write it with a pencil first, and then you can trace over it later with a pen or marker after it looks the way you want. All right, on to our third and final card. I'm really hoping that at least one of these cards will work for a nice gift. Let's start this card out with some quinacridone rose that's been watered down a little bit so it's not too bright. And then I'm going to start painting about 5 large pink flowers that move across the top of the page. Each flower will have 5 petals that are nice and plump, so it'll probably take several broad strokes of the brush or a larger brush to make each petal. Now I'm going to mix some gamboge with a little bit of this quinacridone rose that's on the tray to make sort of a light orange color. And then we'll use that color to paint in some smaller 5-petaled flowers that can go around and in between the pink flowers, filling in some of the gaps. Now I'll take some hooker's green and add in some leaves in a variety of sizes. Then I'll use that same green and add in some centers to the flowers. Now for my finishing touch, I'll add in a little bit of deoxazine purple to the quinacridone rose on my tray for a purple pink and add in some even smaller 5-petaled flowers in any leftover spaces. And last but not least, add some writing to your card. And here are the 3 simple card ideas that I hope at least one of which you can use for some of the special women in your life this coming Mother's Day, and hopefully even other events as well. Thanks so much for joining me today. I truly hope you had some fun and found something in this video that is useful. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please consider subscribing to my channel so I can continue to help you discover your artistic side.